Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCourcy and Matt Watson.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCourcy here with Matt Watson. Welcome back, Matt.
What's up?
Not much. You know, one thing I just realized I forgot to say that this podcast is brought to you by Fullscale.io.
Really?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time because I did like 170 of these things and never said that, and now they say I have to. Ron Burgundy reads what's on the prompter, man.
We need to change the intro, don't we?
Yeah, well, the problem I've got is we don't here at the podcast, we don't have an accurate and effective way to share knowledge with each other, and I think that we can fix that by doing a lot of different things. But
did you document the exact intro?
Yeah, and then I forgot where it was, and we didn't share it, and no one told me, so...
I sent the memo to Johnny.
I know, exactly, and now it's lost. You actually thought about sending it and then didn't. But anyway, I brought someone in today that I think is going to help us figure this out. It's Trevore Devore, who is the CTO, co-founder of Screensteps. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And he told me to not point out that his older brother is the CEO.
Yeah, that's a sore subject.
I'm just kidding.
We had an arm wrestling contest. He won.
Yeah. If I would lose on purpose if I had to be the CTO, I would be like, yeah, or I wouldn't be very well suited for that. Well, anyway, welcome. So you know a couple things about sharing knowledge and helping people do stuff. And as we kind of get into that subject matter and why it's important, give us about 10 cents of knowledge about Screensteps.
All right. Well, so Screensteps is, at the heart, it's a documentation platform. We have a SaaS product that companies will use to capture knowledge in their organization and distribute it to their employees, to their customers. We like to say that we help the people that take care of your customers.
Yeah, you support the support.
Yeah.
But why is all this important? Because like we said, and Matt and I were joking on the way in here, sometimes it's hard to share simple things.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is where does this really change the game when it comes to that?
Well, so like you said, it is hard to share things. We see a lot of people who store their content in something like SharePoint. And they think that if they write something and then they put it in a location where theoretically anyone can get it, that's adequate, that's good enough. But the reality is when they need certain information, it's usually in the moment. They have something that they need to do and they need to be able to find it.
Literally right there in front of them.
Yeah, right there in front of them. And so how you distribute that content, right? So in our system, you can organize your content in various levels like you can in a lot of different, knowledge-based systems. But we also have a Chrome extension which will look at the URL that you're visiting and content on the page, and it can provide contextual information. So if you had, your homepage for your podcast, I don't know, where you manage things, and you could have all these articles pop up that related to running your podcast.
Like Matt Watson wins another award. Matt Watson wins an additional award.
We do need to script how I want you to introduce me in those scenarios.
As Master Watson?
Yeah. I will work on that.
You see what I deal with here? If we had a shared knowledge base in that regard and it was point and click, it would be we'd have to have a lot of editing going on.
Yeah, or we could automate half this podcast.
So and let me back up. So when Screensteps is when someone in support or someone is looking at stuff and they're using Screensteps, I'm assuming that that this now enables a shared knowledge base to kind of be point and click. So if someone's calling, they're saying, "Hey, I'm having a problem on this page, or I don't know how to figure it out," then you create a whole bunch of knowledge using Screensteps that the people that are helping can access quickly and easily.
Yeah, and what we tell people when you're first getting started, we say, look, a lot of people are just, if you're looking at support, people will have a lot of questions coming in, and sometimes they just feel it's a deluge. They feel like they're drowning in support questions. And we say, look, take the first 10, the most popular questions, the top 10 questions that you get, and write a help article for that.
Yep.
And you'll be amazed at how much time that frees up when you have a well-written response by a subject, by somebody who knows how to solve that problem that everyone can draw on. In your support team, they have an article they can send out. And that's how we tell people to get started.
So let me use StackFi as an example of this. So part of our challenge is the knowledge is everywhere, not only across like our 50 employees, but different places, right? So we have a chat system. We use Intercom.
Yep.
Intercom potentially has knowledge base or content type articles in it.
Yeah, we do that at Gigabook too. It's helpful.
So that's one place.
Right.
We use Jira, and Jira has Confluence, and we have documentation in there. For our software, we have documentation that our customers can access. There's stuff in there. Then we use Stack Overflow's Q&A thing. There's documentation in there. There's Q&A stuff in there.
Dude, I got to be honest. You already
We
lost
used-
me, man. That's like a lot of
Hold on,
different
I'm not
places.
done yet. Hold
Wow,
on.
there's more?
We use Google Docs. So we have team drives in Google Docs. We have all sorts of different documentation in there and spreadsheets and, all different stuff. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple more places.
And by the way, to back all that up, I've been creating a written manuscript on your behalf, which I'm also going to get chiseled into a stone tablet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're good then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we're probably exactly like most companies, right? Like we have all this different documentation, and some of it's internal, some of it's product oriented.
So
some of it's policy and
theoretically, how much
procedure.
of it actually gets used and accessed? Do you even
Not
know?
near as much. Not a lot.
Is that something you guys help people track? Do you actually know when people are hey, your employees are actually viewing this?
Yeah, so you can create. We have like reader accounts in the system, and you have reporting that says, so and so viewed this article. You're getting searches for this search term, and here are the articles that show up. Or people are searching on this term and nothing's showing up. So you can kind of help people see how you want to be able to analyze how people are using the system.
Sure.
And things like that. But so Matt, when you talked about all these different documentation areas where you have documentation.
Yeah.
Who are there's probably a primary audience for each one.
Yeah.
And some of those places it might be effective for the intended audience, but is there any of those areas where you see, we've got this documentation in there, but the intended audience is never drawing on it, they're never using it?
Well, I would hope our customers use our product documentation, but a lot of our internal stuff is probably really sketchy on how it gets used, and I'm the perfect example of this, right? It's like I don't need to know something until I need to know it, and then I don't know where the answer is, so I just ask somebody.
Right, and then there's another thing too. It's not just about having created that information once. It's about, is it updated?
Yeah.
Because things change a lot. And by the way, I think, so, the whole topic of sharing knowledge, let's stop for a second and talk about the why, like why this is important. Because if you can't support your product, your users are going to bail. And if your process of sharing any of this info or gaining this info is obtuse, you're burning a ton of time, effort, and energy and focus trying to figure out the answers. I think much like you asked, Matt, or you said, I'm going to go ask someone.
I become an asshole.
I've always described you as that.
I'm an asshole, yeah.
But that's technically not the definition of an asshole.
Oh.
Yeah. An asshole is either someone that always asks everyone for advice, then when they get a whole bunch of it, they always do the opposite. Or they're the people that are just asking way above their ability to cash in a favor from you. Like the person you've never met that's like, will you drive 30 minutes away and come meet me for coffee so I can pick your brain about starting a .com, and you're like, who are you? Do I know you?
Well, and then you have those people in the company that are always like RTFM.
What does that stand for?
Read the effing manual.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing: is and that's a painful thing. Like no one's like, yeah, I don't want to read the manual, but
just tell me the answer,
dude. If it's right in front of you, it definitely makes it a lot easier to get to. So
but to the point, it's like I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out how do I do X, Y, and Z? We have documentation for it somewhere, but I don't even know where. So then I just go ask the team. I start asking everybody else. I'm like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Because there's not one central location.
Yeah,
that I even know where to go.
And by the way, I think that's now the third type of asshole. The person that won't go figure it out themselves and just always keeps asking. So congratulations, Matt. You said you wanted to make a difference here on the show. You have now blazed the trail to the third level of assholeness. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah.
So Trevor, what made you want to start all this?
Well, so it was interesting. Years ago I was I was a contractor, right? I was a programmer. Companies would bring me in to solve particular problems for them. And I was at a conference with one of my, with a company that had contracted me, and they wanted me at the conference with them. And GE Medical approached me, and they walked up and they said, "Look, we've got a training problem." It was right when 3D, 4D ultrasound machines were coming out, and what would happen is each software release had a 1-year life cycle. It would take them 6 months to get their documentation finished after they released it. So they had documentation which was good for 6 months, and then it was obsolete again. And they're like, we got to fix this. And so I said, okay, that sounds like an interesting problem to solve. And so I actually asked my brother to help me. He was actually a musician by trade. He did film scoring in LA, but did a lot of IT training. He understood like the new synthesizers and things like that were coming out, and would train studios how to use them. And so I said, hey, you want to help me with this? And we did, and we looked at. I had used a lot of the training systems at the time, and I just thought there wasn't a good enough system to do it, what we wanted to do, and so we wrote our own. And we came up with a system where we were able to finish the documentation for these systems before they came out, and that was a big deal for them. So we did that for GE, and we did it for Philips and Siemens, and we eventually realized, hey, we've got something here that, it's a faster way of writing content. It's a way where the person who knows what who's the subject matter expert can use the system to write it, and we just thought that there was a big need for that.
When you say a faster way to write content, I mean, dude, that's seriously like a problem that needs to be solved for a lot of people, because, we employ several content writers and technical writers at Full Scale, but prior to hiring them, like, nobody ever was like, yeah, I want to write content. I want to it's over different businesses, and some of which that have been quite honestly fueled by content marketing. It's always been a problem. I mean, I realize it's a different type of content, but I mean, are you really, Matt, you've been a content marketer too. It's hard to find people that actually write the written word.
And then part of the challenge here is you get people that then, how do they format it? And it's like, I want to make this bold and this font size and like all this kind of crap.
I want to write it in the third person. I want to write it in first person.
As developers, we've sort of embraced, when we write our docs, we actually do it with Markdown, which kind of dumbs it all down. Like, you can say if you want something to be a heading or bold, but you can't really control like a lot of stuff. So how do you do that in Screensteps? You guys have kind of a different way of doing that, or do you use Markdown?
So we don't use Markdown. There's a WYSIWYG editor, but we don't give you, like, you can't choose the font or different things like that. That's all controlled at a global level, so that people are maintaining style.
You force them in the box.
We force them in the box. So you might say, okay, you might write a paragraph, and it's this is a warning. Be very aware of this. And so that paragraph is assigned as a warning, and so it gets styled a certain way with an icon. So they're in the box, and that helps them be more. I mean, as long as they're not a control freak.
Stop thinking about how to style it and just write the content.
Control freaks don't like that. Technical writers.
I feel like the font has everything to do with the quality of the support, right?
Well, if you can set it to Comic Sans on your global style sheet, you'll be golden. What's interesting though, because when we first came out with a public product was Screensteps version 1, because it started off as a desktop tool and then it evolved into the SaaS product that it is today. It was all about screenshots. And that's where the name comes from. And we thought, well, people can tell a story with pictures in a lot of the documentation that we were creating.
That's what we try to do here on the podcast. Tell a story with pictures.
Yeah. And video.
Exactly.
Well, that now.
And you can check it out on Instagram.
We were experiencing a lot of failure telling our story with pictures until we added the YouTube.
You can check it out on Instagram at Startup Hustle Podcast.
Look at that! Look at that!
Yes.
Wow!
And on YouTube,
much
at Startup Hustle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting, but we just removed the
barrier. I feel like a proud papa.
Proud papa.
I'm like, thank you, Matt. Thank you for making me not do all the heavy lifting. All right, back to you, Trevor.
Well, but just coming up with a system that let people capture their screenshots as they went through a process, and putting that into something like a Word document. So you're kind of Snagit's always been the popular screen capture tool for decades.
Is that your competitor?
No, they're not really a competitor. I actually used to work for them as a contractor. I helped TechSmith when they first started exporting to Flash. back. I mean, this was a long time ago before Flash became the the thing it is today. So yeah, actually, I did work for them, and but you take a tool like that and you combine it with parts of Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And well, you take the parts you need from each one, and you can be a lot more efficient.
And so does your product still today do a good job of screen capture and stuff?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that kind of sets us apart from our competitors from a writing standpoint, is that we still have a desktop authoring tool. So all the content management, all that stuff happens in the web app, but when you're writing individual articles, we have a desktop editor, and that has screen capture built in, and just a lot of the niceties that you can get from a desktop tool that are a little harder in the browser still. And we do you can edit articles in the browser as well, but people really enjoy the desktop editor.
And actually, it's really important, because when you're documenting software, screenshots are really important, and the hard part about them is annotating them.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things your guys' tool does a good job of, is you can like crop the photos or put little arrows on them or highlight stuff.
Learning how to annotate screenshots changed my life. I mean,
really?
No,
wow.
I mean, like it really did, because you look back over like 10 years, and 10 years sounds like a long time, or maybe it doesn't, but 10 years ago, your ability to communicate with people online was way, way different. Like Skype had just come out. Like Skype was this new thing. People were like, have you heard of Skype? It's this new cool thing. And I was like, cool, I'm going to try to call someone in the Philippines with it. And then the bandwidth wouldn't really support the video. But yeah, being able to annotate a screenshot allowed me to have a better communication standard with the people that were helping me build specific software, because I wasn't sitting there going, hey, no, that thing in the upper left-hand corner or something like that, and it made a big difference. So, all right, Trevor, you guys have been doing this for a while. When did you start this? It was a while back, right?
Oh, I want to say, Greg and I started working together in 2003. And I guess that's probably when we started doing the GE project. It was right around then. And then I don't remember how long it took to evolve, but it's just something that's kind of grown organically. We're still a small business now. Just kind of, we came to full scale, kind of like at the point where we're starting to grow. Like we want to grow the company, and so we've started using the full scale services. And
well, thank you for the plug. We don't say that on your behalf, but do thank you for that.
No, it was we loved working with you guys on that. It's been we just picked up the QA manager who's been heaven sent.
I worked directly with Trevor to help him with that, and I called him one day on my ride home, and I was like, dude, really, like, what's your biggest headache? And he explained it to me. I'm like, I think this dude will probably help you out, if anything, just for your own sanity.
Yeah.
So yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, he was like, well, I think I'll try it out, and I called him back a couple weeks later, and he's like, yeah, I'm not giving him back. You can put him on. You can put him on full time. If I don't want to risk having to share him with someone else. And I could just kind of sense, because but honestly, the same way with support and all of this, like, dude, some of this stuff can be a real headache. And like, as an entrepreneur or founder, you can't put a price on peace of mind. You can't.
No, and you can. The thing is, like customer support, it can just drain your resources so quickly. It really can. And if you don't have a system set up where you can respond to, well,
it's also about scalability too, because if you're doing it all with people, I had this problem with Gigabook, and we had the hardest time getting people onboarded and set up properly. So we used to have to call them, and then you end up on the phone with them forever, and you're just sitting there like, God, this is never really going to work out unless we figure out a more efficient way to do it.
Yep.
Well, to that point, so there's a couple things in our. I don't know if you guys ever have to deal with like single sign-on. And SAML and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, OAuth, the things.
You probably love that as much as we do. The setup for that, because sometimes we have companies and they got an IT department and they go through it. It's great, you get set up. But we would get so many requests to support for that. And we actually we're coming
literally just how to sign in to a platform.
Well, no, to set up the integration between. So they might be using Salesforce.
Yeah.
So a good example of this. So our internal program rocks.
Yep.
It would make more sense that if we use Gmail for our email, at full scale, if they could sign in with their Gmail account.
And they can.
And we did that, right? We did that integration. So that way we don't have to create like a whole different logins. And so if an employee leaves, we can just disable them in one place.
True.
And then Yeah.
So that was a big deal, but it was a major support headache, and we usually had to have somebody more advanced get involved, which is not the best way to spend their time. But what we've done is we came up with a new article type, right? So we have types of articles in our system, and we have this one called workflow articles, which our content's always organized in an outline. Like you can have headings and children and things like that. And we just modified it so you can have questions and answers. And we changed we took about, I don't know, 15 articles that we had on this, like for different, there's Google and there's Salesforce and all these different systems. And we put it into this format where the user has to answer, they're only presented one question at a time. And when they answer that question, okay, which system do you want to set this up with? And then they answer it and they're given an action to take. So then they take that action, okay, all right, I finished that action, they're presented with another question, and it just takes them through the process step by step.
Oh, it's like a wizard.
We've had multiple times now where, multiple cases where somebody comes to us and says, okay, I got to set up SSO, and we send them out this article and we don't hear back. And that is what you want, right? When
I
you
need
can
that
send
for
them an article-
Stackify.
But what you just mentioned, so I tell people all the time, I think the walkthrough is key for anything.
Yeah.
Like onboarding, ordering,
Yep.
setting something up, like really doing anything. I really just think that the best software products and the best things in general just kind of, they say, hey, grab my hand, let me walk you right through it. And like,
Yep.
and if you can keep people moving and keep it, and you don't give them a form with 10,000 things to fill in and just like, make it, you get like 30 seconds before you maybe lose someone if you even get that long.
Well, and even in this, especially it's to your point, in this complex process, people would see this wall of text, and there's headings, there's
Yep.
formatting, breaking it up, but they would, I don't even know if they realized it, but so one of our other guys who does customer success would watch people go through these documents, and they just skip over whole sections,
Yep.
and they're like, well, it doesn't work. Well, yeah, you kind of skip the most important part, but you can't blame them because it's kind of daunting to go through all these technical documents and to follow along. So
Sounds a lot like when you email me, Matt. I just skip over most of it and then hit delete.
I don't even email you.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Maybe. All right, so you guys, we like to talk about the things that we've done okay at, and we also like to talk about some of the things that we either sucked at, failed at, or just clearly overlooked in our whole entire process. Now, I would think that, because you're talking about browser plugins and stuff like that. Look, for those of you that aren't developers or work around them, the browser is like the browser in general, and compatibility across all of them and all the crap that they throw is really like, hey, Matt, Internet Explorer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see what I can do. So I feel like there has to be some.
At least you didn't say Netscape Navigator 4.
But this is my point. Like, there's like all these different things. They change them. They don't tell you about them. Next thing you know, like you're running into a zillion different headaches. Like,
I bet Screensteps works for Internet Explorer 6.
maybe the public side.
But my point is, I mean, I feel like that could. I don't know if that's part of any story, but what's something that like I probably just invoked some kind of Internet Explorer. That's all you have to say to a developer to really piss them off, by the way. If you want to get back at the dev team that you work around, just go scream Internet Explorer at them right now, and you better get a head start because they're coming after you with pitchforks and torches. Like,
so true.
But I know, man. I feel the same way. I'm not even a developer. So give us something that like what can you drop on us that's something you look back at and you're like, wow, that was either an abysmal failure or something we clearly overlooked.
Something we clearly overlooked. Sales.
Oh, wait, we were supposed to sell stuff at a business?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've been around.
That was a great answer, by the way.
Well, in our case, it's very true because my brother and I were product guys.
Yeah.
We love to solve problems, and we love to create software that solves problems. And we've had a very loyal following in our desktop products. We actually had to discontinue one of them, Clarify, just because it was taking away our focus from Screensteps. But we loved doing that. But sales was, we're not sales guys at heart. We love talking about our stuff to people if you get us going on it, but we're not sales minded. And that has been a big change. We've gone out, we have CEO coach, we got, hired people that can kind of help us in that regard. But that's an area where it's like, if we had started focusing on that years ago, we'd be in a very different state right now, very different place.
That was an amazing answer, and it's like something we talk about a lot. Like, I mean, people are always like, God, I got to raise money. I got to do this. I got to do that. You could try selling something.
You could try selling something.
And so I have the same problem like at Stack5, right? I'm more of a product-oriented CEO, basically CTO. And, you know, you got to have somebody on the team that's all about, like, finances and sales. Like, the numbers have to add up.
But those are two different things too. Finances and sales, like, while they're clearly joined together, it's hard to find someone that's good at both of those things too, because your financial people are they better be more detail oriented, and salespeople notoriously are not.
I mean, at least somebody who's like, hey, we got to sell some shit instead of investing all our money in product development.
Yeah,
it's like we need to go sell something.
No, that's.
But then that would create revenue, and then that would go against everything.
Then the company's not worth anything.
It would go against everything we've taught everyone here on Startup Hustle,
I know.
Which is why would a startup want revenue?
The company's worth $1 billion when it has no revenue, and then as soon as it has revenue, it's worth 5 times annual recurring revenue.
It makes
so
sense.
when you have like $10 a month in revenue, like
you're worth $50.
Yeah, and then it's like not worth it.
That's not a good valuation, by the way. No. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I don't know enough about your company yet, but I feel like $50 might be a little low.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we've tried to keep the podcast so limited on any revenue, and we've done a great job of making no money.
It's a unicorn podcast right now.
So what's your valuation?
It's infinite, which is the thing. So, and it's actually, I think the value of the podcast is probably the total of all the money and the money guns at any given time, as you can see them right here.
Oh, those are nice.
We're just excited we have a gold money gun now. So, all right. So, forgetting to sell stuff is definitely an oversight. Do you have another thing? I mean, I feel like the browser things have to, like, which one of those has Internet Explorer, or has that just made you beat your head against your monitor on some days?
Yeah, well, yes.
But I feel like all of them probably have to be that same thing. I
mean, you think that they're all going to be somewhat similar.
But I think people that haven't built software before think that, like, sometimes a huge red flag for me is when I talk to a potential client at full scale and they're like, and when it's done, the word done and software platform do not go that well together. Am I right, Matt?
It's like fashion. There's no final version.
Wow. I didn't realize you were so eclectic.
That was a quote from Zuckerberg.
Was it?
I didn't come up with that.
I thought that you knew something.
I do have a good one for you, though. It's like, I'm an engineer. It's my job to make you happy no matter what it costs you. That's what I always told customers when I get on the phone. Like, I don't work in sales, and I don't know what we're going to charge you for this, but it's my job to make you happy no matter what it costs.
Well, anyway.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What's it like working with your brother?
It's great.
You got to tell us about that.
Oh, it's fantastic. We've had a great relationship.
By the way, that's a great question, Matt. Like, because a lot of people can't work with their family.
You got co-founders that are brothers.
Not only
or work with a wife or someone like that.
Yeah. I've got, so my older brother and I are the ones that started the company, and then I have a younger brother who actually is our guy over. He's the one that's over customer success. We grabbed him out of Price Waterhouse. He was doing audits on the government back in D.C. and just hated it. And
I mean, how could you hate that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's like you do these audits and you find all these things wrong and you give them the report, but then they don't ever do anything about it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why that wouldn't be satisfying.
So
he didn't find that very satisfying. It's funny because it's personality-wise, he's just, he was a magician growing up. He's just, he's an entertainer, and I don't know that he got to really do a lot of that in auditing.
So have you guys ever had any big fights or battles about the business, how to run the business, disagreements?
No, I know. I mean, we have different perspectives on things. But
that can be healthy, though.
That if you don't have
I mean, Matt, we have different perspectives on things with full scale sometimes.
Do.
And by the way, sometimes we argue and fight about shit, but the question is how can do you rebound back from that?
Yeah, and can you disagree without hating each other?
Yeah.
And realizing that you need that. There's a guy I love named George Raveling. don't know if you know who he is, but he was, he's a Hall of Fame coach, basketball coach and player. He was the bodyguard for Martin Luther King Jr. Just a fascinating guy. He works for Nike Global now, I think, doing international basketball. But he always says, if everyone has the same opinion, you don't need them, right? You don't need a bunch of people who all have the same opinions because.
Well, that's the whole idea of getting rid of yes men. And we say yes men. You're going to put that on Instagram, aren't you? Sorry, Breland comes and takes pictures of us, and I've been wanting to give the camera the finger for a long time, and I finally did it. But no, you're talking about you just defined a yes man or woman or whatever. The yes people. I'm just going to say yes. It's easiest to agree, because sometimes you get that 1 person out of 10. They might have a really valid point. I was literally just watching the HBO series Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
And there's clearly one dude that's like, look, you guys all want to be yes men, and I have to stop you. And honestly, based on watching that, if it's even close to true, that dude may have saved an entire continent. But, it's important to have that difference of opinion and for context. And that's also, what do they call it, red team? Is that the red team analysis that some companies, businesses, governments will do, where it's literally a group of people and your entire job is to make sure you offer the opposing opinion. It's exist for that purpose of diversity of opinion.
Makes sense to me.
So you guys have never had a brotherly fist fight over the business?
No.
Interesting.
It's and here's the thing is, trust is a big issue. That you have to trust the person you're working with.
Right.
And I trust my brother.
There you go.
He's the CEO, and I trust that he has integrity, and we let each other make mistakes. It's we are both we're swimming in new waters.
Well, I think that's important what you said, letting someone make mistakes. It's look, you got to try some things here and there. Not everything you do is going to work out. For example, earlier this year, and you've been to one of these before, I tell Matt, I'm like, dude, I think I've come up with a great way to build our brand locally, and I need some suites at some local venues because I want to do this thing called Sweet and Greet. And we're like, will it work? I don't know. And if it doesn't, it's going to be real frickin' expensive. But the thing is it ended up it's been a huge hit around town. But you got to and what's been a big hit at 2 of the 3 places we did it at. In the 3rd place, we removed that from what we're doing and move forward. But and if you don't take some chances and do some things, you're never going to know. And I think some of it is also the person you're making the decisions with. You have to not be overly stubborn in some regards. Be practical and be able to say hey, okay, sure, I get it, or and sometimes letting other people see if their idea is going to work or not is just as much validation or whatever you want to call it. I think that's appropriate. What do you think, Matt?
I think you definitely have to let people make mistakes, that part of it, and try things and learn from their mistakes. We're, even with Full Scale, right, we're running a type of business neither one of us have ever run before. We learn a lot of things along the way.
And kind of like you said, Trevor, uncharted waters.
Uncharted waters. And that's the thing about startups is you get new challenges at different scales, different steps in the business, right? And you get to 10 employees, 50, 100, 200, whatever. You get new sets of challenges that come, and you just nobody has experience in doing all of these things for your type of business, and it's a constant learning experience.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I had a flashback to when we transitioned from doing large contracts for a few companies when we were working with GE and those others, to being a product company that sold to the general public. Wow, it's amazing how much the revenue dropped so quickly because we had no idea what we were doing selling product to a large scale, just to a larger population. Small, big contracts, it's a lot easier to manage that.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, granted, in our case, the ceiling was too low. We knew there was a ceiling to what we could make and, what we could do working with those, fewer companies and large contracts. But so we wanted to make that transition, but that was hard, and there was, that was a rough time. But again, we both went into made that decision together, and we let ourselves kind of mess up and experiment and find what the path forward was.
Well, it clearly worked out because you're here talking,
I'm here
and
talking.
you're in business. Last time I checked. So there's something that you're going to be able to say here in a few minutes that not everyone can say, but everyone should want to say, and that's that I've played Mixtape the Game.
Ooh.
Yeah, mixtapethegame.com. Digital version coming eventually. So I pulled a card out of the Mixtape deck.
Okay.
And I'm going to read a scenario, and we're all going to name the song that comes to mind when I read it, and then we will vote for who the winner is. You cannot vote for yourself.
Okay.
What is the song that goes with your most memorable childhood music video? I'm going to let either of you answer first, unless you want me to.
With or without you?
So
You
read this
two.
again. The most memorable music video.
Song
'Kay.
from your childhood.
I gotta go with Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby Got Back.
Ooh. So I'm going to have a two-part answer, and I'm going to go with one, because my real answer is Paradise City by Guns N' Roses.
Oh, yeah.
This is back when we were kids, because there's a bunch of old dudes in here today. Sorry, guys. But we actually had music videos. And my other answer would have possibly been Cherry Pie by Warrant, because it just kind of stuck in my head. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, Matt, I hate to do it, but I'm voting for Matt.
Well, he hasn't said one.
He
yet.
did.
I said you two, with or without you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
okay.
memories of sitting in the living room at my neighbor's house.
I get it,
That
yeah.
video on the screen. So.
I just really like.
I just have memories from Baby Got Back.
Oh yeah.
Visuals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you got to vote.
Baby Got It Going On.
Who are you voting for?
I gotta go with the Cherry Pie, but that you didn't.
But that's not a
I
B
know,
answer.
you-
Sorry.
So I
yeah.
gotta
That's
go
a
with
B
him
answer.
because I don't vote for you. So you two.
You were about to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paradise City was a very memorable one.
We're gonna have a
Again?
stalemate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Paradise City
Dang, no winner.
because
That is
that also
very-
has the
Wow.
associated memory of my brother.
We haven't
one
had
of my
that
younger
happen
brothers.
yet. We're gonna pull another card. Never done that either. You have loud, obnoxious neighbors living above you. What song do you play at high volume to get back at them? Fuck You by CeeLo Green. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with "We Will Rock You" by Queen.
Ooh.
I
By the way, the song I just named, and the reason we're laughing, you knew it was coming. It's the hack for this game. It applies to 99.9% of cards, except for the music video one, because it wasn't out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would probably do one of the Weird Al Yankovic polkas.
I get that. You know, another, I mean, Fight for Your Right to Party
Oh, there you
would
go.
be a good one. I'm voting for Trevor because that's just out of the box, man.
I gotta go with Weird Al.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah.
He won. Do you want to fire the money gun?
Sure.
Yeah, hang on.
I may need some instructions.
You pointed at Watson
Do you know how to pull triggers?
and pull
Yes.
the trigger.
That's all I do.
So as the winner of Mixtape, you might want to point it up. Here you go. You can fire. It's just so much better when it has an arc to it.
Okay.
Let it loose.
On three. 1, 2, 3.
Shake it. Shake it. There you go. Oh my God. Money gun fail.
Oh, that was the first. The
man.
money came out at the top of the money gun.
No, we really.
It's like,
Oh my
this
God.
is way too inefficient.
We
I'm just gonna
talk
pop
about a
the top.
problem worth
Here we go.
solving. We
we
have
go.
to figure out how to get a better money gun in here. This is bad.
I'm not getting funded today.
Oh,
There's
dude, I quit.
Not as much money coming out of the money
Here,
gun
let
as
me
one
see
might-
it. As a professional money gun firer, let's see if this works right at the camera for YouTube. Dude,
This money's really dirty or something.
Now
What happened?
I know what to bring you the next time I
a
come.
better money gun?
Yeah.
Dude, we've bought way too many of these already. I quit. God, it's just getting harder and harder to find a good counterfeit Supreme money gun
jeez.
on Amazon
Oh
for
my
under
God.
$15. So, well, Trevor,
You gotta start a Kickstarter. Have someone make one for you.
dude, if I have one custom made, I'm gonna get like Elon Musk's Boring Company to make it, and
That would be cool.
yeah, I mean, because they make flamethrowers.
We could have the
They can make a
flamethrower
money
slash money. It
gun,
would
yeah.
shoot the money, and the flamethrower would just ignite it as it goes.
I'm embarrassed.
You're burning through
Are you
cash.
embarrassed about the quality of our money guns? I thought when we got the gold one, it was going to go up an entire notch, and it did not. Anyway, if you want to check us out, go to @Startup Hustle Podcast on the gram. We have a new YouTube channel. You can verify that Watson's face is in fact made for radio. And if you want to learn more about I'm sorry. Hey, you haven't been here for like 5 episodes, and I've been throwing myself under that bus. So in order to protect my own self-image, I had to do that. It's okay. Do you feel bad? Did that hurt your feelings?
No.
Okay. I didn't figure you did. It did. Matt, you're beautiful. You're beautiful to us, especially Trevor and I. We have a big appreciation for it.
Thank you.
Here.
Anyway,
Trevor
slides him a
$1.
really crusty looking dollar from the money gun. Also, if you want to check out what Screensteps does, go to screensteps.com. You guys have a great website, by the way. It's very informative.
Oh,
and
thank you.
it does.
I had nothing to do with it, so I will pass that along.
Well, that's fine. But no, I mean, there's so many websites I look at them anymore, and I'm like, what do you do? But no, I figured out what you did. So anyway, see y'all next time.
Thanks for having me.